KG5 EIU. I'm going to show the new bootloader on the Raspberry Pi that was just released here in February of 2022. So I have a Raspberry Pi 4. The screen's black. I've already updated the bootloader, and I'm going to power up the Pi. And now that the Pi is powered up, it takes just a minute for the bootloader to go through its sequence. I do not have an SD card in the Raspberry Pi, and here I am on the new bootloader screen for the Raspberry Pi. I can hit the escape key and I get a diagnostic window. It kind of shows me what's going on here. I can hit the return key and get back to this screen. Now, to start the bootloader imaging process, I hold down the shift key. So if I hold down the shift key for a moment, now I'm waiting for a space key. I hit the space key and it'll tell me it's waiting for the network. I've got my Ethernet cable plugged into the Raspberry Pi 4B. It is going out to the internet, grabbing the Raspberry Pi imager off the internet, loading it onto this Pi, and you can see it downloading here over my internet connection. This is real time. I'm not going to compress the video or load it in like that. I can toggle over on the escape key here. I can see what's going on. You can see where it's got a DHCP address. Hit the return back. Looks like it cancels the loader there. Go through the sequence again, and I'm downloading the installer. Again, I'm going to let this roll. If I had some cool royalty-free music, I guess I could play it for you. The QR code up here in the screen, in the upper right hand of the screen, will take you to raspberrypi.org website if you're curious about that. We'll let this finish loading. Coming up here on 50% done. (11 of 22, 50%. A little bit like watching paint dry, but not bad, considering I do not need any other computer to do this. A keyboard and mouse, an SD card to write the new image to, and of course an internet connection. I'm recording this through OBS, so you can all see it live. Almost ready here. And when this comes up, it's going to be the imager, just like you would see if you did load it on your Mac or your PC or even a Linux box, another Raspberry Pi. This is really good addition to the Raspberry Pi. So it went and got the image. It's rebooting right now to the Raspberry Pi imager. And there it is. Now, if I go in and choose my storage right now, there's nothing. I can go and I'll stick a little SD card in the Raspberry Pi, which I'm doing right now. It's a little 64 gig stick I have. I can go now to choose my storage, and there it is. I can now go to all the other options that I would want to do. Perhaps I want to load the new 64-bit desktop. There it is there, 64-bit Raspberry Pi. It's a 1.1 gig download. I'm not going to torture y'all with loading that whole image on here, but I am going to let it complete. What's nice is a little gear symbol now. Go over here. I can set a host name. I can set a username, a password. I can configure Wi-Fi, all from this menu, all built into the Imager. Again, this is all over the new bootloader so that it would go out, download this image, write it out to the SD card, boot up, and if you put all this stuff in here, you'd have a Raspberry Pi on your home network with no muss or fuss. It's just that easy with the new bootloader with Raspberry Pi 7.3 from KG5 EIU.